The UK Gambling Commission's first response to 2017's never-ending loot box saga was basically a bit rubbish. They said loot boxes aren't legally defined as gambling, so we can't do anything about it, but we will keep an eye on it in future. Well, now they've said something else, something a little bit more on the money.
Over the past few weeks, the games industry, community and media has been plagued by two words. You know what I'm going to say, don't you? Loot boxes.
Unless you're reading closed captions, then it's loot boxes.
Or loot boxes. Probably said it in the title as well. Of course you knew what I was going to say. Loot boxes.
Not lube boxes.
Loot boxes, as we all know, contain a random set of in-game rewards like cosmetic items, weapons or modifications, and can be paid for with currency in-game or with real-world money. In the last few months, gaming's favourite evil corporations, EA, Activision and Warner Brothers, led an all-out charge on putting these randomised reward boxes in their games, and as they did that, gamers really started to push back. We had a petition to the government about it here in the UK, and while lawmakers and authorities in the rest of the world have begun speaking out quite vocally against loot boxes, the UK Gambling Commission was a bit more reserved in their lengthy assessment. Quote, "The Gambling Commission is keeping this matter under review and will continue to monitor developments in the market."
I think if it was lube boxes, they would be as reserved as they were.
I don't know how they work, so do you definitely get lube in it every time? Or
randomised lube, that would be a thing, wouldn't it?
Yeah, just different...
randomised lube.
I don't know, strengths? I don't know.
Does lube have strength? Mike,
I don't know.
I feel like you haven't got a lot of experience in the department of lube. You call it saying that there's strengths.
I've led a sheltered life here in North Wales. There's something to do with sex, though, isn't it? I'm pretty sure.
Well, after a hectic few weeks, instigated by EA's horrendous loot box system in Star Wars Battlefront 2, the UK Gambling Commission has issued a follow-up statement. And it only took an investigation in Belgium, condemnation from US public officials that called Battlefront a Star Wars-themed casino, and recognition that loot boxes do constitute gambling under law in Australia's state of Victoria, to get them to say something. In a news post on the UK Gambling Commission website, Executive Director Tim Miller said loot boxes can't be regulated under current UK gambling laws. He said, quote, "In early 2016, we identified loot boxes as a potential risk to children and young people. Our starting point in deciding our position with any product is to look closely at whether or not it falls under UK gambling law. The definition of what is legally classed as gambling is set by Parliament rather than by us. Our role is to apply that definition to activities that we see, and any changes to that definition need to be made by Parliament."
Okay, so it's up to the UK Parliament to change the legal definition before anything can be done. Again, the Commission points out that a definition of gambling depends on whether or not a game of chance, like opening a loot box in video games, produces an in-game item that is considered money or to have money's worth. In other words, you need to be able to cash out whatever it is that you get inside the loot box. But the Commission is not dropping the issue at that, and this is the crucial bit. As Miller pointed out, quote, "However, many parents are not interested in whether an activity meets a legal definition of gambling. Their main concern is whether there is a product out there that could present a risk to their children." Miller
said the Commission is not concerned with the growth in examples where the line between video games and gambling is becoming increasingly blurred. Quote, "Where a product does not meet that test to be classed as gambling but could potentially cause harm to children, parents will undoubtedly expect proper protections to be put in place by those that create, sell and regulate those products. Whether gambling or not, we all have a responsibility to keep children and young people safe."
I find interesting about what he's saying there is that the line is blurred, but who cares if it's blurred? Like, is it harmful or not? That's the question, and that's kind of what they've pointed out here. They've said quite clearly there's nothing they can do about it. Some of the things going on right now in video games is bad, is potentially harmful to children, and it needs to be sorted out. And it's interesting that he's saying that it doesn't matter what the legal definition of gambling is and whether or not loot boxes falls into it. Is loot boxes in itself a bad thing?
Exactly.
Well, yes, it is.
Obviously, this is in the back of the petition that was put to the government, and the government coming out and saying, "Oh, we'll have the Gambling Commission look into it." Now, the government basically passed the buck. The Gambling Commission have looked into it. It's not gambling by the definition. Now, it's up to the government. They passed it back to the government, basically.
Sounds an awful lot to me like they want self-regulation for the industry here a little bit, like the way they've worded it, like we're all responsible, we all have a responsibility for the children. It's kind of a hint kind of message to the games industry to just sort themselves out because they don't have the power. The Gambling Commission doesn't have the power to do anything really, other than strongly worded statements like they've done right here. So they can just go, come on guys, just sort this out, yeah? fucking kids we're talking about. That's basically what they've said in better words than I just used. You know, it is quite a strong message. I'm sure that people inside the industry will look at this and go, oh, this is yet another voice from yet another country that's saying we need to sort ourselves out. Self-regulation seems like a fine answer to me for now, at least. It was a way to stop situations like Star Wars Battlefront 2, even Shadow of War, you know, things that are clearly exploitative and just outright just using gambling techniques to get gamers and kids who are among those gamers to buy loot boxes just for an endless supply of money for them. It's not a good situation.
Seems like another dead end so far as like regulation goes in the UK. It does feel like everyone's talking about it right now, and I think that's a win in itself. Everybody's aware of it. Everybody's thinking about it, talking about it. It's in the news. That's a win of sorts. That's about as good as we get in the UK, isn't it? Because we are, we are British,
Yeah, a victory of sorts.
A victory of sorts.
The sweetest victory of all.
So there we have it, another dead end, another legal grey area. Let us know what you think about it down in the comments below. Like the video if you enjoyed it, subscribe if you're new around here, there's another video to watch right about there. Support us on Patreon if you're awesome. We will see you again in the next video. Bye for now.